guys. I can talk a little, what would you like me to do? I've got, I can talk a little bit about the transportation bill, some of the things we're working on. I'm happy to open the floor to questions. So great to be with you guys. So, as you know, I represent Gwinnett and Forsyth at the moment. It's going to switch to Gwinnett and Johns Creek. It's getting ready to redistricting. I have worked on several pieces of legislation that probably are most relevant to you guys. The first, of course, is the American Rescue Plan. And I understand Snellville got around $3.7 million from that. And I've heard from a lot of local governments on that front, and what we heard was a desire for more flexibility in how those funds could be used. And so I did introduce legislation to do that. It has about 140 co-sponsors right now, because Congress, as you know, is a little dysfunctional. I'm not sure that will actually pass, but I was really pleased. What happened was that Treasury saw that there was this real demand for flexibility in those funds. And so what they did was they allowed basically local governments extensive flexibility, up to $10 million. You can use it basically any way you want to. And so they wrote that into their rules. And so by and large, every city in the 7th district will have essentially complete flexibility in how they use those funds. So I was really pleased to see that. So not everything is going to be a legislative win. Sometimes you use the legislation and that sends a signal to the administration what you want to see. So that was great. We are continuing to push that bill because it will help like Gwinnett County have more flexibility. So we would like to see that keep moving. The big piece of legislation, of course, is the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. And that is a huge amount of money that is moving through the federal process. And we want to make sure that our local governments are really in a good position as that funding rolls out to take advantage of whatever is available through that program. So just let me, so I'll go through some of the big top line numbers. I have Tamesa Bailey, who is my district director, actually worked for the Georgia Municipal Association, and so really understands that connection between the big programs we have at the national level and then what you guys can actually, how it comes to you all. So we're going to continue to have briefings and outreach and work on this bill to try to make sure we can take advantage of it. So some highlights, right? Georgia overall can expect to receive approximately $9.2 billion over 5 years. And this is a 27% increase. And this is just funding for tending to our knitting. This is the roads, the bridges, the basics. So it's a 27% increase from 7.2 billion. So 7.2 to 9.2 is the increase, which is, that's serious. Georgia will receive $211 million over 5 years to reduce transportation-related emissions, $240 million over 5 years to increase resilience of our transportation systems over 5 years. So resilience is anything you can connect to climate change, okay? Anything you can connect to, water backing up, things like that, ways to make us more adaptable as we deal with different weather events. There's also funding in there for any time for re-knitting communities. So places where a road has gone through a community, low-income community, something like that, kind of torn it apart, ways to pull the community back together. So there's funding for those kinds of things. There's more money for transit, and of course I know we've all had a really robust discussion in this county over transit. Georgia will get $1.5 billion over 5 years. That's a 37% increase in funding for transit. So it's up from $1.1 billion. And that's just the formula funding programs that flow to the state. And this will flow to the state through the regular transportation process, right? So you guys submit to the region, right? They put together their transportation improvement plan that goes up to the state. They put together their state So there is that regular process that will continue. You're just going to be able to do a lot more with it, right? So you can go much deeper down into the tip and the stip. There will be all sorts of discretionary programs, though, as well, which is what can go straight to the local governments. And so we all want to make sure we're aware of those. So right now we've got $135 million to support the expansion of the EV charging network in the state. Just last week we announced that Georgia will get $20 million in EV infrastructure. So this is something we don't know how that's going to flow exactly, right? So this is not necessarily discretionary. It's coming to the state, but the state's got to set up corridors. It's got to locate places where you're not gonna usually have EV charging, right? And I'm sure if you think around this community, right, where are those places where there are gonna be those holes in the community? You know, how do we direct resources there so that, you know, people have an electric vehicle, they don't have to worry about where they're gonna charge it. There's a ton of money in here for clean drinking water, right? So 50 billion. That's up from around 1 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, that the federal government used to invest. Things to be thinking about, and a lot of that's flowing through the clean water and drinking water state revolving funds. But something to think about is vast swaths of South Gwinnett is on septic systems, and is one of the #1 barriers to economic development in that area, right, is that kind of issue. So I think we may have a real opportunity to address those kinds of issues, and we need to be thinking about that. You know, you've got to get together with the county, you know, start thinking about that plan. How do we lay that foundation for growth and development? Use these funds. I feel like all the time I see these funds flowing to downtown, to the city of Atlanta. We need it here. We are inner suburbs, right? We have needs, just like the downtown does. And, you know, I am here to be an advocate to try to bring that to us so that we can use it to redevelop.
But those are funds that we don't know how they're gonna be rolled out.
Correct,
yet,
yeah,
right?
so we need to start advocating, or you all, you know, I would, you know, there's Louis Cooksey at the, where's our brave and bold city manager here? Yeah, oh, you, the mascot, okay, yes. We need reach out to Louis Cooksey, reach out to the county. What is our plan? How are we gonna start using these funds? We know this money is coming down. We need to put together a meeting with the Atlanta Regional Commission, right? How are we gonna get this into our community? So this is just kind of, you know, DC, you're way up here, right? And how do we get this down so it's coming to meet our local needs? So those are the kind of things that we need to be thinking about. So bridge funding formula, there's safe streets and roads for all. There'll be $6 billion over 5 years, funding directly to local governments to advance a Vision Zero plans to reduce crashes and fatalities. There'll be low and no emission bus programs. I know you guys have been interested in microtransit, right? There should be support for things like that as well. I never thought you guys were gonna get that, you know, through a separate channel, but anyway, I can go on and on. You know, there was a packet that they posted online, and we can get that. You have the lead behind? Yeah, with some of that stuff. Okay, yeah, we have a handout with some of that stuff, but there's a packet, a PDF, it's online, it's available, and you can go through and it has all of these different discretionary programs. They don't yet have the full plan for how it's gonna be rolled out for all of these, but you wanna look through those, think about, you know, what our community wants to take advantage of, and then, you know, be in conversations with us, with the county, with the regional commission, to find ways to bring them into this community. Last, I would say, we have spent, with the American Rescue Plan, I think we spent maybe 50 or 60% of our staff resources unsticking rules and regulations and making sure that this was stuff that we could use. And so we are very interested in being advocates for you guys to make sure that this, you know, comes to our community as something we can use. So we are happy to weigh in as they issue regulations, to let them know how we want it so that it will be of maximum benefit to us. So with that, I can go on and I've been working on. We have a pretty full slate of different initiatives. But just wanted to bring that to your attention, and we're gonna be doing more outreach to the local governments in the months to come to try to make sure it gets to you guys. So.
Awesome. Anybody have questions? We should actually introduce our council
Okay.
members. That would be helpful. We've got Gretchen Schultz.
And I'm Todd Warner.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem David Manuel.
I'm so nice to stand. We've met us out.
Yes, good to see you.
We met Forest Kristen.
And then City Manager Butch.
Okay.
City Clerk
Melissa Arnold,
Melissa
our city
Arnold,
clerk.
City Attorneys Chuck Ross and Jay Crowley.
Okay.
And assorted staff and department heads in the room as well.
All right.
Would you think, Congresswoman, that what we've tried to do, the one project that I think I sent to your staff here at North and Wisteria, we've tried to bite off the design and engineering ahead of time, so it'll be shovel ready. I would hope that puts us in a little better standing for a local project.
Oh, you absolutely right. You know that. Yeah,
Make it
that will help
easier
you on the
sell
tip
for
and the
you,
SIP and
probably.
things like that. Oh, yes, oh, that's true, yes, so we also have earmarks, which are called community projects, okay. So we did a round last time, and this was a new thing. We put in a number of requests. You know, this is the federal government, and if you know my background, I used to work on the budget for the state of Georgia, okay? And then, you know, I'm here in Washington, and it is, it's March, and March is gonna come up, and we still don't have a budget for this fiscal year, right? So, anyway. Anyway, it's the way it works, apparently. They actually have not passed a budget on time apparently since the mid-nineties,
Right.
so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's a long-term project, but anyway, so they put the community projects in that budget. I still am being told that they are going to honor those and put those into the final version. And so we did have a list of 10 projects that were working its way through, and we're kind of waiting to see if they will be doing another round. If they are doing another round, please, yes, bring it to our attention. You know,
Right.
we do have a process we go through and try to, you know, make sure we're being balanced,
Sure.
you know, across the district and things like that. But we are absolutely would love to put that in
We'll stay in
the
touch.
pot, so.
Do you have any kind of sense at all on how it's gonna get from the state down to the local governments? Are we gonna be competing like for grant money?
The community projects? No, those are.
Well, not the
those-
community projects, but with the infrastructure funds.
Yes, so undoubtedly there'll be competition, right? There always is. The first round, you know, the first thing you should always look is the regular process, which is the regular transportation improvement plan, state improvement planning process. Always having a local match, having done the preliminary engineering, doing design work, everything, that always gives you a bump up, plus having any matching funds, which you can use the American Rescue Plans for, right? So having that will help those projects get done. So that's one, yes, and then when we have these discretionary pots opening up, again, yes, there'll be competition for those, and so that's always a part of the process.
Because our plan was to create a budget for our ARPA funds.
Good.
And then get some of those projects get ready, and then if we can apply for and possibly receive some infrastructure funds, then we could reallocate some of that ARPA money to some of the other projects.
Yeah, I think that's a wise idea. The other thing to point out is that there's a lot of money flowing into that water and wastewater, and I know a lot of localities have been planning on using the ARPA funds for that. Not saying not to do it, your city manager, I'm sure will give you, help you advise how to prioritize that, but it does look like there's another funding source, coming down, that will help, with those kinds of projects.
You know, it'd be great if we could get some more sooner.
Yeah, we have a good relationship with Gwinnett Water,
Okay.
and they're finishing up a sanitary sewer line for us right now where they funded 75%, we funded 25%. So I'd love to get more projects like that. In that area over there, it needs water and wastewater,
Yeah,
and needs wastewater and updated water. So it sounds like we've got a lot of coordinating to do with Lewis. We've got a great relationship with Lewis too, so.
yeah.
And,
County's got doing good stuff. That one, I would circle up with JIFA, how are they gonna deploy that? Make sure it comes to the metro area. In my sense, a lot of that tends to go to the rural areas. We wanna make sure it's coming to us, and we're able to use that to grow and develop, so. Okay. Pleasure to visit with you guys. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
All right.
Before you leave, just so you know, the sun
Oh.
always shines once in a while.
Oh, I love it. Very nice.
Thank you so much, sir. You're a gentleman, thank you so much.
Thank you. Wow. That is very nice swag. I got a little bit from everywhere.
And we've got you a little Snellville
Oh,
lapel pin as well, so you can represent us when you're out.
absolutely.
Why do we have
I really
flags
appreciate it.
if our electricity might not work on the regular?
Rebecca, I didn't see you.
Because some people go outside the city.
I never go there.
You never have a
Going
problem.
in, so keep that.
All right, well, it's very good to visit with you guys, and please stay in touch. Mason, did you have those, the handouts so you can leave with those? Okay. Okay, and again, yeah, feel free to reach out. We try to have a, really open line of communication with our you know, all of our city officials, so.
And take that magazine issue too.
Okay.
That's our New Year's edition too. That'll give you a, which is a slimmed down version of what's going on, but that'll let you see what's happening in Snellville.
Thank you so much.
And your office does a very good job of getting this information out.
Yes, they do.
Good, yeah,
A lot of good communication for sure.
yeah, no, we're working very hard. We wanna make sure everybody's in the loop and again, that we are able to wring every last drop of juicy goodness out of these bills and bring it into our community, so.
Yes.
All right, good deal.
Thank
Good to see you guys. Have a good time.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Great to see you.
Thank you so much, man. Have a great meeting.
Okay.
We have extras probably to cover. Just a little.
All right, so I will call the work session of the mayor and council for the city of Snellville, Georgia for Monday, February 14th, 2022 to order. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. We have a visit with Congresswoman Carolyn Bordeaux. I should probably order before then. We'll review the regular business meeting first. We've got Chuck Haggerty to give the invocation tonight. Pledge, anyone want to lead the pledge?
Did you raise your hand? You sure?
You've
never
done it.
Yes.
You've never done that.
Yeah, why
So
don't we?
ladies first.
No, which stand?
She has the red jacket on.
I've got
Yeah.
Solange.
Thank you.
We've got the minutes. Public hearing items. It's the first reading on a whole bunch of items. So we'll be waiving the first reading. The date to go to is February 28th. Agenda, does anyone have any questions or concerns on these?
On the first reading?
Yeah, on the first readings that you want to talk about.
Just on the rezonings, I think, we have information that is gonna be coming to us within the next few days, according to Jason, so be on the lookout for those, some updated drawings and stuff.
Yeah, the
Okay,
North
more
Road Office
arrangements,
Building, Davita, please, pick up the phone and call. Y'all have questions. Jason, myself, Matt, John, we're all available. We
Okay.
just wanna make sure you get all your questions answered before the 28th. There's a lot on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole lot on here. And we're gonna make a change on the, typically, we've been doing a draft ordinance in the packet
Right.
that gets advertised. We're not gonna do that anymore. So we'll be working essentially in the council meeting from the planning commission report, the list of conditions and variances, and we'll be working from that. So we won't be, when you make your motion, you won't be referencing
Oh,
an
okay.
ordinance
Okay.
anymore. Okay, so just be aware of that. Chuck will have one, I think he said John Dennis typically drafts those with kind of what they think might happen, but it won't be published, and we won't have that, either, because it's all stuff coming out of whatever the planning commission did. But we won't be advertising that in the packets,
Okay.
okay? So just for your knowledge there on those. Consent agenda, we don't use that very often, but these are, we'll use this probably a little more often with things that are just cleanup type things. This is, the two items here is the grant access easement for the. we were
However you say that.
How you say that, Boise Law Firm, or Law Group at West Main Street. The second item is the adoption of the TW Briscoe Park Master Plan. If anybody The way the consent agenda works, if anyone wants to pull something out and make that a separate vote, then all you have to do is speak those words and we do that. But otherwise, I'll just ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Okay. No old business. Under new business, we have the second reading for the alcoholic beverages at the park for the special events. Any questions, concerns on that? I'll be nominating Lori Ann Spears to the Board of Appeals. Lori Ann's been active on our URA and DAS for quite a while, and she actually got involved with those as a way to start getting involved, waiting for a board seat to open, so, she's really great, and, I've enjoyed having her on that other board, so I think she'll do a great job on the board.
She does a good job.
Yeah. And then we have a budget amendment. Butch, you wanna go over anything on that?
This is an annual item, housekeeping item. Just before we publish the audit, these are numbers, it's kind of a balancing effort between expenditures and revenues. And I gave you just a short overview of the highlights here of the budget amendment notes. The bottom line is, on the revenue, we were almost $3 million over on revenue. But if you look at number 2, 2.1 of that was the CARES Act. So we didn't know we were gonna get it, it wasn't in the budget, we need to amend the budget to put that in there. So if you look on the expenditure side, we were also about $250,000 over on expenditures. End of the year, that EOI, we basically are plus $2.7 million. But look at the major expenditure overruns that we had. Radio upgrades, Motorola, $153,000. That's something that came at the, after the budget adoption. That will be reimbursed when dispatch is audited. It'll be reimbursed by the county. So don't worry about that one. Utilities, we had several rate increases from the EMC, from the phone company, and so we were about $55,000 over all departments together. Group insurance, we're guessing, when we adopt a budget, because group insurance doesn't get chosen, the vendor doesn't get chosen until December 1, or it doesn't get chosen until October. So we're just guessing. We had an increase from United Healthcare, or from Aetna to United Healthcare, of about $61,000. So that's going to be, that had to be accounted for in the budget. And building inspector fees. We've broken records every year with permit issuance, but on the other hand, you've got to inspect those structures. So Craig Loki and his team do a great job, but those fees are going to be up when you issue that amount of permits. So that basically is what you'll be approving, the new revenue number, the new expenditure number, and that's where they came from, major items of where they came from.
So is the motion just to approve the budget amendment, or do we need to?
Approve the budget, approve the
We need to mention any
FY21
of
end of
these.
year budget amendment.
Okay, we don't need to mention any of the figures. Yeah,
This is for your information.
okay.
I have a number of questions that came up when I was reviewing the changes.
Yes.
We didn't get these till Friday afternoon. The only time I had to contact staff was today, and I had a water heater go out at a rental house, so I spent my day playing that. Is there any way we could push this off to next?
To the 28th?
Yeah, because it really shouldn't take but a minute to make the motion and approve it. I just have some issues I just want to make sure I'm familiar with. And
We probably won't have, the audit probably will not go out until March anyway. So, hey, give me a call, Ty. Well, I'll be glad to sit down with you and go over
Okay.
everything.
yeah, I was planning on doing it today and it just,
Okay.
it went sideways, and with the time we have, it doesn't make sense to sit here and drag everybody through it's only about 20 items, but Just wanna make sure I'm up to, there's like 1,050 on here, and I looked at every dang one of them.
Just give me a call.
Okay. Does anybody have a problem with that? Are we okay there?
That's okay on the issuance of it?
Yeah, it will probably be,
I saw Jimmy at
First
the
of-
haircut
first of
place.
March
I should have
anyway.
told him to slow down.
may have to have a called meeting.
You could have a special called meeting on one of my days off,
Yeah, that'd be
but I already
awesome.
have somebody nice scheduled for myself.
We'll have food.
That'll bring
What?
her, that'll bring Christie.
An apple and a peanut butter.
Yeah,
Days off, who get days off before April 15th,
I know.
or the 18th?
everybody but you.
Nobody gets a day off.
I'm with her.
And then we have the staff contract and event calendar. Anybody have any questions there? Essentially the same. as it was last year. Okay. No other questions on the regular meeting? Any correspondence?
No, ma'am.
I saw an email that Gwinnett Chamber Annual Dinner, the Gwinnett Prom, is, I think, April the 4th or the 2nd.
April? Probably April 2nd, is Saturday.
It's usually a Friday.
Usually a Friday, April Fool's Day.
I might be wrong on
No, I
the
think
date.
it's
The
later in
first.
April.
I kept an email somewhere.
April 1.
Find it. I just wanted to see what y'all's thoughts were. If you wanted to go, if you don't wanna go, if some wanna go, your annual
It's the 22nd of April.
22nd.
Earth Day.
What's your thoughts?
Earth Day.
Oh, Earth Day. Gonna dress like a tree.
I've got a daughter who has a birthday that day, but there's no telling at 22 whether I'll even see her, so.
Well, in general, do y'all think that you
Yeah.
wanna go?
Yeah,
You don't
I'd like to
wanna
go, but
I'm not too sure.
I'm not sure, but
I'll think about it and get back.
April
Yeah,
22nd.
I won't, we always have trouble keeping the table, so. So I guess if you will let Butch know who is interested in going, so we could go ahead and get tickets.
I'm interested.
It's just usually, if you're able to go, it's usually a good night to be able to network.
yeah.
It's great.
What's the normal dress for that? Is it
It's usually a formal black tie
formal?
optional, yeah.
No,
Prom.
Butch, no for,
It's a prom.
It's prom.
It's the Gwinnett County prom.
You've gone before.
you were there last time,
You've
weren't you?
gone before. Yes, you have. Yes, I have it at picture.
oh, well.
It's up at their arena.
Well, you had a lot to drink that night.
Oh, yeah, that's me. One
Okay,
drink, Gretchen.
Yeah, Barbara drove us home.
Yeah, in my van.
It was
Oh, now I do remember that.
Remember you were asleep on the back?
It's like, what's that smell of dirty socks?
city attorney's report?
This Thursday is our favorite bi-monthly event. That is the Quality of Life Court, starting at 8:30 on Thursday. So Jay and I usually have a tag team affair there, and usually get it knocked out within 2 hours. So we do pretty good. But it's always a good time that's had by all. So you all are welcome to join us, and you can see how the sausage is made.
Do we have any good cases?
You know, we really have had good luck with our really big problem cases. People are being cooperative. We're giving them time. We kind of have the idea that, you know, it's not so much about finding people, it's about correcting the problem and getting compliance. And, you know, people were surprised, you know, when we were saying, we'll work with them. Now, you know, we've got a few that have, you know, shined us on, and then there's a time for they have to pay the fines.
Right.
So,
Right.
but, you know, people that repeatedly thumb their nose, you know, shopping centers in particular, you know, some of them, they have to pay. But, for the most part, we really, Johnny and, Lieutenant Brown done a really good job at working with people and just, so we don't have a lot of repeat offenders and getting cleaned up, so. But it's amazing how many signs that people put up, these little signs, and stuff. You don't even notice them.
Oh, yeah, I do,
Oh, but-
I do.
No, it seems
Well-
like in the last week, a whole bunch of.
Yeah.
Johnny is on the spot. so
Good
you
for
get
Johnny,
that, so.
we appreciate Johnny, I mean,
He is,
the signs.
He is a
and-
bulldog, on it. So,
Yeah,
Yeah, the one day I don't go down Styling, all the signs were there.
yeah, and I mentioned those, personal fitness signs that I was seeing all on 124, and as soon as I mentioned it, the next day they were gone.
Yep.
Which I appreciate, I mean, we just don't need all that trash on our streets.
Yeah, and they actually now, since they both have trucks, they carry ladders, so they can get the Lopez roofing ones that are up on the telephone pole above our reach.
It is really neat to see some of the issues. I don't know if you all noticed, it's been down now for a couple months now, but, the old shack at Mr. Hickey's, I mean, it was, you know, and.
It was falling down.
It was condemned, no one could
It
go
did
in
take-
it.
but all they had to do was go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but, you know, he had some personal health issues and that happened, we worked with him, but, you know, it's down, no one got hurt, you know, and so it's good to see those things, or tangible things, we see that it's working, so. You have a really good crew doing all that.
And did you have any other correspondence?
No.
I'm gonna slip that over here. Okay, so we'll go under discussion items, ongoing projects.
Town Center TSW is moving on the second floor redesign. We're working with Facilitech, who is Thrive's architect, to get the final finishes to see where we can save some money there. It was clear from the visit with Reinhardt that they wanted more time to think about what they would do and could do in the open space, so that will be open shell space. In red there, staging area is done. We worked with Northside to get an affordable staging area for Amshiv, who's gonna do the roadway. We got it down to about $300 a month, so they should sign that and get that back. Sanitation recycling, we had a good meeting with Steve Edwards the other day. Basically, we agreed that they do deserve, that the residential hauler does deserve an increase. And so they're gonna get $2 per house per month. We also told Steve that we felt like the commercial side of it did not deserve an increase. We had a list of issues that he needed to address. And so we're gonna meet again in 30 days and see how he has been addressing that. And then we'll bring you some idea of how we're doing at that time. But he is, they just have some work to do. But with the cost that everybody is starting to see, we felt like the request for the residential in Latham was appropriate. So, and that's a lot less than what some other people have been
A lot
doing.
less.
So, so we'll see where we go on the commercial side of it.
So that impact, how many residential do we have, about 6,000?
7,288. And then probably, when working on budget, we usually, when there's some building going on, we up it maybe 100 over the course of the year to
Yeah.
figure it in, so.
Yeah, when you look out there at Ridgedale and Pinehurst, those are gonna be new garbage customers. Sidewalk improvements, we did this weekend. We got a new engineering proposal from Collaborative. We're looking at that. It appears like it would be quite a bit of a savings. So we'll bring that back. We'll have a contract for you to approve at the next meeting. We gotta make sure, it looks like it's apples to apples, so I think we benefited quite a bit by by seeing what else was out there.
So this would be engineering services on the 2 sidewalks we've been discussing.
To start, but it would actually be, we've already added the other sidewalks from the retreat.
Okay.
Neighborhood beautification, if you notice, the project names and identities are different because at this time of year, after the retreat, I add what your new goals are. So this is a little bit, this is kind of a compilation, neighborhood beautification, cleanup and landscaping. The main thing there is the meeting is set up for Wednesday at lunch, noon here, with Clean and Beautiful. So I need 3 attendees for that meeting, so we can start that conversation.
It was me, Dave, and
I think I was on there, yeah, but if somebody else would prefer to go, you know.
You want to cover a class?
Okay.
No.
To cover a class.
I would be scared to death of being in a room
Take
with
your
high
place.
schoolers. Yes.
I would be quaking in my
You would
boots.
have,
I
you would
would.
have a blast. They're fun. Yes.
If something happens and you can't be there,
As
just
far as I know.
text me or call me.
I did add the committee setup was to be determined. That would be the next step, or close to the next step. We've made some good county and state contacts. We do have the project manager for the northwest quadrant of the intersection now, so we're pushing him on some things. So we're working on that. ARPA funds, we have added a department in the FY22 budget. Barbara mentioned a work session, which I think is a good idea, basically a financial work session. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Y'all will love this because I'm so excited.
Uh-oh.
It's gonna be
I know
after
you will
April
be
15th,
too.
I take it.
Huh?
It's gonna be after April 15th.
No, we were thinking maybe late March. I don't know why I would do that to myself, but, so I thought we'd do it all about finances. We could talk first about the ARPA funds budget based on, a little bit firmer budget based on things we discussed at the retreat. Hopefully by the time we would put this work session together, we would have at least some general estimates of, what could be done with what funds. And then we could talk about the town center budget, just to get a really good update for everybody about where we are on costs for all of our city buildings. The parking deck, which is almost done now, the second floor, the market roads, the Grove, and then also the bathrooms that we're doing in the Grove. And then also, so just getting a really good update on where we are financially for our costs, and then where all the funding's coming from. Review all of that. And then review the CARES Act funds. We received over $2 million. We allocated all of that and reported it as salaries. We could use all of police salaries and a lot of public works salaries, and that used up the 2.9 million. So that is sitting in our general fund. And we haven't really earmarked that money, which is fine, gives us an extra cushion. But I think we need to talk about that too, because those are funds that are sitting there. And then also get a good update on all our SPLOST funds, what money's in each fund, what we've been, on the current SPLOST, what have we budgeted revenue-wise, and what have we received, and then what have we paid out, and out of the balance that we have left and expect to collect, how those funds are being allocated, and what projects are in there.
And I'll have this information to you in a couple of weeks. And if you want to look at it for a couple of weeks and then schedule a meeting, it'd be good. The one meeting that has been scheduled, Dennis Conway contacted me this weekend. He can be here. He is doing the city of Atlanta's parliamentarian.
Good luck.
And so he can be here on March the 24th. That's a Thursday from 6 to 9 p.m.
Ooh.
It may not take that long, but it may. He's got a pretty set presentation that he does, and that gives us enough time to get all the boards scheduled, and whoever you want to be. It definitely needs to be the chair and the vice chair from every board, that's for sure.
The stat board would be invited as well.
And so maybe, the week before that for the financial, it's up to you guys. But definitely put that on your schedule and we'll start reaching out to everybody. Let's see, Briscoe Park progress. The reason the master plan's on the consent agenda is we've talked it to death. You guys have reviewed it, and so I didn't think there was any need further for that discussion. We have all of the maintenance facility design and construction quotes now. Matt and Lisa, we're gonna meet tomorrow and review those. We'll bring that back to you. Either I know the 28th is very busy. I put March 14th down here. But we're gonna make sure that everything is apples to apples there. Matt and Lisa have done a great job herding these folks into a quote that I think that is complete and the same for each entity. So I expect that to be out pretty quickly. Zoning category review. I think you guys are reviewing problem uses, if you will. We do need to work on a joint meeting with the Planning Commission and probably the BOA. I don't know if you want to include them, but I would think that for philosophically, it makes sense to be on the same page. Package sales referendum. I don't know. I think I sent the word out about Brian Arrington's accident last week. He's home now, but the doctor has not released him. He's got to be basically still and careful for 2 weeks. The brain bleed is, I think, lessened. I don't think they would have let him go home if he didn't get a decent scan on last Friday, but he still can't do anything. So Matt and I are working on some things that he had going, and we'll work on that poll for public input on the package sales information as well as some of the department projects. But Brian, he's going to have a hard time being still for 2 weeks, but he needs to.
I've emailed him and he's emailed back, so he's responding. I think he's fine, but he just needs to do what he needs to do.
Yeah, just being careful, I think. It was a bad fall. When you go down
Sounds like it.
steps, and he's got stitches over his eye, and should get those out this week, so.
We need pictures of the shiner though.
He is from Buffalo. He's pretty tough. Economic development activities, I kind of put a lot of things in under here. Potential DDA executive director, inventory of properties and annexation. Cover the Grove as well as all development, redevelopment areas. So we'll start working on that and update you regularly here. So that's basically all I had. I think I let you know. You were ready to get rid of the art. The art is gone. We'll have something up there as soon as we can. And the artist did give us donated button Gwinnett.
So handsome.
Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, and then we have sanitation update.
You just got it.
You have, oh, okay. I was about to say, I know that we have another one, my name is slide there.
When you're done.
And I did want to give y'all an update too. We did take our field trip up to Reinhardt College, Gretchen and Dave and Butch and Matt and I. And we had a very nice visit up there. They took us on Jessica, who is the head of their fine arts program, their performing arts, took us on a tour around the campus. And then we went back and had lunch at the 40, which is their dining hall, and had lunch with Tom and Mark Roberts, the president, and John Miles. So we had lunch with them and just continued on our conversation. So I think they are, you know, they're still kind of feeling things out, and they're kind of looking for a period where they can kind of feel things out, so, but I think they have the ability to make some kind of financial commitment. It's probably not gonna be, you know, quite everything, but they're willing to come in and have periods where there's renegotiation, where they're finally meeting their mix and, you know, getting what they need and what they're wanting, and then we're getting what we need out of it as well, then we negotiate at that point. So, just, I mean, more discussion's gonna be needed. We're not at any kind of decision points at this point yet, but we are moving ahead, as Butch said, with the second floor without that square footage being finished, so it'll be shelf space for now, and then as soon as we get a little bit further along, then we'll lay out that open spot.
We're helping them out. I think we're gonna talk to Raj tomorrow, the incubator director, about exactly what does he need? What kind of information does he need? What kind of contacts does he need to reach out to see how, to gauge how successful they can be? And we also need to be thinking about a number, you know, a number that we're comfortable with as far as them renting space. It's just, we definitely have to have that conversation, because they're waiting on, they'd like to have that.
I think we mentioned possibly him meeting with Nick Messino and some other folks.
Partnership for that.
Partnership with it,
We just
yeah.
wanna see what they can hold and
Right.
what's there,
Yeah.
and what's gonna fuel their business.
Okay, so I just wanted to give you an update, because we didn't send out an email. Okay, and no exec session tonight, so with that,
Motion to adjourn.
there's a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And a second, all in favor? We are adjourned at 7:14.
Ooh.